I do think gold and silver are very close to bottoming out. So I do like both of those for the next few months.
All right.
The real key for gold, and again, I go back to treasury yields. I mean, if you look at where gold peaked out in, the summer of really 2020, it was, and that's copper you're showing there, but gold peaked out in August of 2020, and interest rates bottomed, really within a couple of days of that. And so it really is important to keep a close eye on yields there too. The one thing I would say is that silver has been acting a lot better than gold lately. And so there's a little bit of divergence there, which is interesting. The CFTC data has also shown that for the first time in almost 3 years that we're seeing, commercials turn positive on not only gold and silver, but also copper, while large speculators are negative. So you're seeing some pretty big divergences there at a time when things are very oversold, and you're still arguably in a seasonally positive time for the metals. So even the fact that the dollar has been pushing up lately and rates have been pushing up, gold, in the last couple of weeks has actually been stabilizing a little bit. I like that as well. So there are some things that suggest to me that we're very close to a bottom in the metals, but I'm just not convinced that it's going to prove to be, the be all end all that we can invest and just buy gold for the next few years. I think that a lot of my cycles bottom out next year. So I think we're going to get a bounce, and then we're probably going to have a period where they're still going to go lower. And some of that will be that the dollar has just been tough to break. And, European economies might suffer further, even though the euro and pound sterling might bounce. In general, they're probably still going to be trending lower into next year. And if the dollar strengthens more, then, it's probably going to hurt commodities. So I do think we are getting closer to the end of the dollar bull market. I think it's going to be unlikely that we get above those peaks that were made back in late 2000, 2001, which is up near 120, and we were at 114 a couple of years ago. Dollar yen is obviously still quite strong, but the sentiment right now has turned so negative on Europe, and that's one part of the process. And so when you combine severe oversold conditions with very pessimistic sentiment, and you start to look at DeMark counts and wave counts and different things, that's going to provide, an entry point for those that want to buy the currencies, euro and pound sterling, and really look to fade the dollar. But you see the big base breakout in the dollar yen, pretty incredible. And this goes back, 2 decades. And so this is, tried and true technical formation. I would say that the longer the base, the breakout tends to have that much more significance, and it really doesn't really matter what the BOJ tries to do. I mean, it's things where it just if you take the left-hand side of that, you also extend it back, just going back since 0304, and just look at what appears to be a giant reverse head and shoulders pattern. And some of these patterns work time and time again, where you see the breakout which happened just this year, getting up above almost 125, and just a huge acceleration that might defy logic as to why the yen would show such a large decline, and or dollar moving up so quickly against the yen the way it has. So yeah, we are nearing levels that were important, going back since 98, 99.
Yes.
And I think it's going to be difficult for it to sustain this kind of upward advance. In other words, dollar moving up against the yen. I think we're probably going to have a brief period where between October and December we start to pull back a little bit, and that could be helpful if yields pull back also, for equities to bounce. But for now, they're extraordinarily overbought. The dollar is, the DXY is, on almost every metric, and sentiment, most of the BOA, portfolio manager positioning shows, dollar overweights. Like, everybody wants to be long the dollar against almost everything in the world, and there's only so long that this kind of thing can last. And so we'll see when it ends. My thinking is it's coming up in the next couple months.